Hi, I'm looking to Granddown in Enfield. Today we take a look at the road to Roberts Cove in Cork and why I think it's not going to be popular with visitors. Now, some people might like it. It's there's two pubs. There's one, I know one has a restaurant. I'm not sure about the second one. There's no shop. There's just a beach. Uh, to rent a holiday home or a static caravan. This is starts at the smallest one is 850 for a week, and if you need up 4 beds, that starts at over 1200 a week. So there's a lot of things you can get for that, to be honest, with more amenities. Anyhow, on to the main part of today's story. It's about Celtic motorcycles, the only Irish motorcycle built. Now, in 1898, Robert Lindsay owned a small cycle manufacturing business in William Street, Dublin. By 1903, the company was partnered with the Robinson's brothers from London, with the company now having motorcycles of their own manufacture, among other things in their range. Robert had a workshop in his home in Strathon, where it's believed the first motorcycles were built. It's unclear when the famous Ship Street, trying to say that fast, location was acquired, but it can be placed there from 1920. Dinsday was the main agent for numerous motorcycle mates over the years, and in the late 40s, Robert's grandson, Harry, became a successful motorcycle racer on road, trials, scrambles and grass track. Harry also became famous in the motorcycle circles as an importer, dealer, 2 times land speed record holder and works rider for Vincent's. So that's no small thing, but that's another story. Robert used the forge and stables in his home on the Barton estate in Kildare, which is now the very famous K Club. This is where the first motorcycles were built before moving to Ship Street. At the time, most motorcycles were just bicycles with bolt-on engines. For Celtic's frame used the engine as a stress member, and it was one of the very first to do so. It also used cables years before they became mainstream. The engine was a 188cc 4-stroke 2 horsepower. Again, forgive my pronunciations, but it was made by Fabrique Nationale, and it ran a total loss oiling system with a cast iron piston running a blind cylinder. There was no magneto to power the spark. The spark was provided by a small battery inside the brass tank that also held the fuel and oil. Of course, there was no clutch and direct drive, so to stop, the engine had to be stopped by raising the exhaust valve and using the limited braking from the leather belt on the back wheel. There was no front brakes. As I have said, the FN engine was the first designed to use Bowden cables instead of solid liquid linkages. That meant that once on the way, you only needed to take your hand off the bars to fire in a shot of oil into the total loss engine via the pump on top of the tank. The only suspension offered was a Brooks sprung saddle, fairly on par for the day, to be honest. But Robert's son, James, or known as Jim, said riding it was like riding a pneumatic drill. The engines were badly balanced and gave off a lot of vibration. And how many are left and how many were made? There's different accounts of how many were made. There's four were definitely known to be made, but it could be as much as 47. How many are left today? One. It's in a museum somewhere, on a private collection somewhere. It surfaces every now and again to go to shows and stuff, but it's not open for public viewing. It was found in a farmer's ditch. It was dug out of a farmer's ditch. It was tied to two railway sleepers. They believed that the engine was powering a saw from the belt drive on the back wheel. And it was tied to two railway sleepers, as I say, so they had trouble digging it out of the ditch. All that was showing was a bit of leather saddle. And that was in 1980. It's a 1903 model. And that's what gives the rise to the fact that they think 47 were built, because it's frame number 47. Of course, no factory records were ever kept, and they've been destroyed, so that's all we can say about this. The one and only Irish motorcycle manufacturer. Of course, they used an FN engine from Belgium, I believe, but in them days everyone was using an engine belonged to someone else. I mean, even BSA at the time were using a Nevada engine, I think. And so that's it. That's the Irish motorcycle manufacturer. We've had more, but we've never had a motorcycle manufacturer. Okay, thanks. Ride on ride, Grandad on Enfield.